Paul Heyman turns on Roman Reigns for CM Punk, why Sasha Banks is returning to WWE, WB Hall of Famer on Sunny being sentenced to 17 years in prison, Bobby Lashley discusses the incident when 30-year-old WWE star slapped him, Charlotte Flair on her singles match against Asuka, Jade Cariel is a goddess, Stone Cold returning to fight CM Punk, Jimmy Uso's actions after WWE SmackDown went off the air draws legendary reference, Roman Reigns to assault 37-year-old star on his WWE SmackDown return. Let's jump right into it. Why Sasha Banks is returning to WWE. Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks while in WWE, is arguably one of the best pro wrestlers in the world today. While she's currently been away from the ring due to an injury, fans saw her dominate New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom in the early half of 2023. Before her time in Japan, she was a top star in World Wrestling Entertainment. She won numerous titles in the company, including the Raw Women's Championship, a SmackDown Women's title, and the NXT Women's Championship. The Boss was one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, alongside Naomi, before infamously walking out during an episode of Monday Night Raw. This eventually led to her exit from the company and subsequent move to Japan. Now that she's seemingly closing in on returning to the ring, many wonder where she'll appear next. Japan is a solid guess, but others believe she could sign with Tony Khan's All Elite Wrestling. That may not be the best decision, however. This piece will examine 4 reasons why a move to the Triple H-led World Wrestling Entertainment is better for the Boss. Number 4, WWE is the biggest pro wrestling company in the world. Competing in Japan is a passion for many wrestlers, and there are certainly many benefits to doing so. Wrestling for Tony Khan's All Elite Wrestling is also a bucket list item for many pro wrestlers. Still, WWE is the biggest game in town. When it comes to being a top attraction in the industry, nobody comes close to WWE. Their global footprint is unlike any pro wrestling company before or after. While some promotions rise and have a brief spike in popularity or a major event that rivals a WWE show, it is ultimately a blip on the radar. For that reason alone, Mercedes Moné would be wise to return to World Wrestling Entertainment. While she will be a star anywhere she goes, her name value and brand recognition will be far higher while performing for the biggest pro wrestling company in the world. Number 3, she has fresh faces to feud with. Sasha Banks last competed in a WWE ring during a live event on May 15, 2022. It has been over a year since then, and World Wrestling Entertainment has dramatically changed. This is thanks in part to Triple H taking over the company's creative direction. Before the Boss left, WWE was seemingly running low on superstars. The Vince McMahon regime regularly made mass cuts, and most wrestlers were battling the same stars repeatedly. The women's division has evolved quite a bit since then, and there are several faces whom Banks either never wrestled, rarely competed against, or have grown considerably since then. SmackDown alone has the likes of Michin, Zelina Vega, Shotzi, Isla Dawn, Alba Fire, Scarlett, Dakota Kai, B-Fab, and Io Sky, whom Banks either never or only briefly interacted with. Factor in up-and-coming stars from NXT and the exciting Raw Women's division, and she has numerous fresh faces to work with. Number 2, All Elite Wrestling has faced criticism for its booking of the women's division. Many believe Mercedes Moné could be on her way to All Elite Wrestling. She appeared in the crowd all in 2023. While that may have been a publicity stunt, many think her debut is inevitable. A section of fans believe that doing so would be a big mistake for the Boss. While Tony Khan's All Elite Wrestling is a very popular promotion, it has been criticized for not booking female competitors in intriguing storylines and matches. It is rare for female stars to have more than one match on any given AEW show, and they're frequently booked in mid-card feuds. While WWE certainly has flaws, the way the promotion pushes women with Triple H at the helm is far better than the competition. Damage Control, for example, has regularly been in the main event of SmackDown or showcased as a significant attraction on the show. Hence, the Boss should return to WWE and become a headliner for the company again. Number 1, Mercedes Moné could fit in perfectly with the Damage Control story. The final reason Sasha Banks should make a comeback has to do with one key thing that trumps everything else in wrestling: story. Under Triple H, WWE prides itself on telling quality, long-term stories. While this didn't used to be the case, this method of booking even applies to female stars. The story of Damage Control is perhaps the best example. The stable has been around for almost a year and a half now. Not only do they have rivals dating back to 2022, but parts of the ongoing saga with Bayley and the other members date back to 2020. Many believe the role model will soon be kicked out of the faction. If Bayley is booted from the stable and turns babyface, this would be the perfect opportunity for Banks to return. The story makes sense for the former hugger to turn to her real-life best friend and on-screen rival to aid her against the heel faction. WB Hall of Famer on Sunny being sentenced to 17 years in prison. A WBE Hall of Famer recently recalled his experiences of interacting with the former Hall of Famer Sunny, who was recently arrested. While a notable alumni of WWE, Sunny had previously been arrested multiple times on different counts of burglary and disorderly conduct. She was recently found guilty in the case of causing the death of an elderly civilian while driving under the influence. This led to her being sentenced to 17 years in prison, followed by 8 years of probation and her driving license being permanently revoked. Speaking on this week's episode episode of Sportskeeda Wrestling's The Wrestling Time Machine podcast, the WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long recalled meeting Sunny and being charmed by her personality. I didn't know her very well. I did meet her and everything. She was always a nice lady, very nice, and it's just sad to see, how drugs and things can really take over people and cause them to, have such a tragic life, and this is pretty much tragic for her, Teddy Long said. WWE Hall of Famer Sunny's arrest has certainly sent ripples in the pro wrestling industry, particularly affecting those who worked with her in the past. The incident has prompted a comment from Diamond Dallas Page as well, who met her just a few months prior. Speaking on the Bro Show with Vince Russo, he stated, "I have thought about Tammy Sitch. I just saw her like 4 months ago. She came up to me, she looked great. I have been thinking about her. She's been sober for long periods of time. She had been on the right path. I don't know what the trick here is, but I felt so bad. I saw her, God, she looked great. We were somewhere in the North Jersey area and she talked and looked great. I had thought about it when she was in a bad spot. Let's see where it goes. This was a really, really unfortunate situation." As of now, Sunny will be spending time behind bars for her regrettable action. What is your take on Sunny's sentence? Bobby Lashley discusses the incident when 30-year-old WWE star slapped him. WWE star Bobby Lashley recently spoke about Brawling Brutes member Butch trying to make a name for himself by slapping him. Lashley and Butch faced off in a singles matchup this past week on SmackDown. The Brawling Brutes member wanted to prove his mettle against the Almighty and put on a stellar performance. However, he lost after falling victim to a devastating spear from Lashley. Backstage correspondent Caleb Braxton caught up with Lashley and the Street Profits on the SmackDown Lowdown. The former WWE champion was impressed with the heart Butch showed during the match. He acknowledged his initial mistake in assessing the 30-year-old's abilities, praised his performance inside the ring. First, let me speak on Butch. Last week, I told him to make a name for himself for a reason because everybody needs to around here. But that just speaks to the depth of this roster. That kid, I thought he was just going to be a pushover, but he slapped me, which was a bad move on his part. But at the same time, he has guts. That kid fought. He fought harder than I thought, so he made a name for himself, in my opinion. This past week, United States champion Logan Paul showed up on SmackDown. He announced that to determine the next #1 contender for the US title, there will be a tournament where Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, Santos Escobar, Dragon Lee, Karrion Kross, and an NXT superstar will compete. On the upcoming episode of SmackDown, the Almighty is set to test his skills against Karrion Kross. This will be the first ever clash between the two stars. It will be interesting to see if Bobby Lashley can advance in the tournament and finally face Logan Paul in a title match. Who do you think will win the United States Championship tournament? Charlotte Flair on her singles match against Asuka. WWE star Charlotte Flair is ready for her match against Asuka next week on SmackDown. The top babyfaces of the SmackDown women's roster have been at odds with Damage Control for a while now. This past Friday on SmackDown, Bianca Belair picked up a huge win over Kairi Sane. Next week, in the wake of a successful War Games outing, Charlotte Flair will be in action against the Empress of Tomorrow. WWE correspondent Kathy Kelly caught up with the Queen backstage on SmackDown Lowdown. Charlotte mentioned that she has a lot of respect for Asuka, but that will not get in the way of their match next week. She pointed out that she has always had the upper hand against the Damage Control member in singles encounters, and next week will be no different. Regardless of whether Asuka is with Damage Control or not, I have all the love and respect for Asuka. But at the end of the day, I still have her number, and when I'm in the ring with her, it's like iron sharpens iron. I don't know, I'm ready for the match. During the same conversation, Kathy asked Charlotte Flair about the new Asuka, who is now a part of Damage Control. Charlotte made it clear that it didn't matter, even if the Empress of Tomorrow had embraced a new gimmick and attitude. She claimed she would still take down her longtime rival next week. Old Asuka, new Asuka. Flair versus Asuka will be the same as it is with Flair coming out on top. It will be interesting to see if Asuka can pick up the win over the Queen, or if Charlotte retains her impressive record over the Japanese superstar. Who are you rooting for next week on SmackDown? Jade Cariel is a goddess. Jade Cariel has received massive praise from a WWE personality on Twitter. Cariel made a name for herself during her AEW run and is now a WWE superstar. She has yet to compete in a WWE ring, but it won't be long before she takes on some of WWE's biggest superstars. Jade Cariel recently heaped praise on WWE ring announcer Samantha Irvin. The latter noticed the tweet and dubbed Cariel a goddess. Jade Cariel recently made her way to WWE and took the wrestling world by storm in the process. She had a chat with the Masked Man show and revealed why she signed with WWE. According to Jade, she wants to create a legacy and aspires to enter into the WWE Hall of Fame somewhere down the line. She also wants to take on some of the biggest female stars in the business. I want to create a legacy. I want to be in the Hall of Fame. I want to wrestle with the best women in the world. There is no grander stage than this stage. The opportunities are endless with this company. It was a no-brainer. It was very welcoming. I didn't have any second thoughts about it at all. It was an easy choice. It wasn't easy, but it was easy, Jade Cariel said. Cariel is one of the most marketable stars in the pro wrestling business today. She has the perfect look that one needs to become a megastar. It certainly won't be a surprise if she ends up headlining WrestleMania in the future. Who will be Jade Cariel's first WWE opponent? Stone Cold returning to fight CM Punk. CM Punk could have many dream matches in WWE following his return, including one against a bona fide legend. Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff recently gave his take on the topic. Rumors indicate a match between Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin may finally be plausible. It's no secret that an epic showdown between the two has existed in fantasy booking for many years. On his Strictly Business podcast, Eric Bischoff said he would love to watch Punk versus Austin in WWE. I'd be optimistic as well about CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin happening, because I love watching Steve. I love his character. He's just an amazing performer, and he's got such a great legacy. I would love to see it. I question whether Steve's in a place physically where he wants to get in there and bounce around. Steve is also the kind of guy that doesn't want to go out there and be less than what people remember him being. Bischoff questioned whether Steve Austin, 58, would be willing to wrestle in a high-profile WWE contest at his age. It's one thing to go out in a WrestleMania moment for a spot. That's not a match. I could see Steve getting physical, but a match, a 12 or 15 or 18-minute match that requires give and take. I hope Steve's physically in a place where he feels confident he wants to do that, because that would be amazing, but it's been a minute, so I don't know. Hey, I hope it happens. Stone Cold Steve Austin last wrestled against Kevin Owens at WWE WrestleMania 38 in 2022. The bout mainly received positive reviews, even though Austin had been retired for many years before that. In early 2003, Eric Bischoff was the Texas Rattlesnakes' opponent in 2 matches. On Strictly Business, he explained, "I was one of the last matches that Steve had. Without saying too much, Steve was in no position in that point in time to take any kind of a bump," said Eric Bischoff. "That's my point, because it was a neck injury. That's a serious injury." With the CM Punk rumors as context, Bischoff brought up his concern for Austin's health again. "You're talking about centimeters or something going wrong. A bump, turning your head too hard, too fast in one direction, whatever. Little things can have significant adverse outcomes, so let's just see. I'll pray for Steve's ability to do it, because I think it would be so much fun to watch the match against CM Punk. The program would be awesome. Who should be CM Punk's first opponent after his WWE return?" Jimmy Uso's actions after WWE SmackDown went off the air draws legendary referen. Randy Orton dropped Jimmy Uso with the 3 most dangerous words in WWE. An RKO left Jimmy laying on the mat for a long time on the latest episode of SmackDown, and his selling of the move has brought him praise from some big names. The Viper vowed to take down every member of the Bloodline during his first appearance on Raw after 1.5 years. Orton didn't waste much time as he appeared on the following episode of Friday Night SmackDown. Randy Orton was confronted by Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa of the Bloodline. The heels got the better of him till LA Knight came out as the equalizer. Following the brawl, Orton dropped Jimmy with an RKO. It wasn't the only RKO Randy Orton hit during the night, as he also took out SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis with his finisher. Jimmy Uso decided to sell the move to perfection, as he had not moved for a long time after being taken down. A video of Uso laying flat on the mat after the show's conclusion went viral, as fans saw the WWE crew rolling up the carpet by moving Jimmy out of the way and then placing him back in the ring. His sell of the maneuver drew praise from wrestling veteran Bully Ray, who referenced WWE legend Dusty Rhodes. He noted that the Bloodline member did a great job on Friday night. Dusty 101, sell, sell, sell. And when you're done selling, sell some more. At Busted Open Radio, Ray wrote, "It should be noted that Jimmy Uso has undergone a major character change in WWE since turning on Jey Uso and returning to the Bloodline. He has been one of the funniest and most entertaining characters on SmackDown for some time. Randy Orton is looking to get some revenge on the Bloodline. Roman Reigns and his men were why the Viper had to miss in-ring action for 1.5 years. Hence, it looks like he wants to give the heels a taste of their own medicine. Orton could be looking to take out every member of the Bloodline before getting his hands on the Tribal Chief. He could do so by going after Jimmy Uso first, as he seems to be the weakest link in the faction. Orton could take out Jimmy before going after Solo Sikoa, who will likely give the Viper a tough time. He could then eliminate Paul Heyman from the equation before finally getting his hands on Roman Reigns. WWE could book a big match between the two at the upcoming Royal Rumble Premium Live event. It would be a great way to kick off the road to WrestleMania 40. Do you want to see Jimmy Uso being shelved by Randy Orton for some time? Roman Reigns to assault 37-year-old star on his WWE SmackDown return. Roman Reigns has been missing from action in recent weeks due to his restricted schedule. Fans who have been impatiently awaiting the Tribal Chief's return can finally breathe a sigh of relief, as the corporation has officially confirmed the undisputed WWE Universal Champion's imminent arrival. The Bloodline leader is set to make his highly anticipated comeback on SmackDown on December 15th. This long-awaited comeback might have disastrous ramifications for Nick Aldis. Roman Reigns could unleash his fury upon the 37-year-old general manager during the December 15th show as a form of retribution for signing Randy Orton. Aldis brought the Viper to the blue brand on the December 2 edition of SmackDown. This strategic move provided Orton with what he desired the most: retribution. Aldis used the Bloodline as an irresistible lure to attract Orton to the blue brand. The signing took place at the end of the show. The celebrations were cut short as mayhem erupted in the ring after Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa launched a surprise assault on Orton in a bid to disrupt the contract signing. Against all difficulties, Orton successfully defended himself with the help of LA Knight repelling the assault. The series of occurrences may lead to Roman Reigns becoming furious and attacking Aldis. However, it is uncertain whether Reigns will direct his anger towards Aldis, as this is merely speculation. We shall have to wait until December 15, when the Tribal Chief graces us with his presence. The rivalry between Randy Orton and Reigns began in the middle of 2014. Their clash occurred at SummerSlam that year, where Roman Reigns emerged victorious. This particular one-on-one confrontation catalyzed Reigns' ascent to the top of WWE. However, despite putting Reigns over, Orton faced allegations of sabotaging Reigns' advancement throughout their rivalry. A report released during that period suggested that Orton had incurred backstage animosity due to his alleged actions of slowing down the progress of the Tribal Chief. Plans for a title program between the two wrestlers were derailed due to the Viper's injury ahead of SummerSlam 2022. The stage is now set for another program between the two. Let's see who comes out on top. Do you want to see the Viper dethrone the Tribal Chief? Paul Heyman turns on Roman Reigns for CM Punk. A wrestling veteran recently suggested Paul Heyman could turn on Roman Reigns following CM Punk's WWE return. The veteran in question is Ben Heyman. Last Saturday, the best in the world surprisingly returned to WWE after 9 years of absence at the Survivor Series, War Games Premium Live event. After appearing on Raw last Monday, the best in the world is scheduled to be on SmackDown next Friday. Punk's former manager, Paul Heyman, is also on the blue brand as Roman Reigns' Wiseman. The 58-year-old was also Brock Lesnar's manager for several years. Speaking on the Monday Locker Room, Ben Heyman suggested a storyline involving Heyman and the 3 superstars he managed. He claimed the Wiseman could turn on his Tribal Chief following Punk's arrival, and Cody Rhodes could take advantage because of all the shenanigans. Heyman is now the linchpin between Roman, Brock, and Punk. And what can we do to tell that story of who is he really loyal to, you know? Like, you're gonna question him and he's gonna have to turn on Roman and have it go over. And is Cody gonna be the one to capitalize because of their Hurricane of Hell? You know what I mean. And when can Brock come back at the right time to heighten that whole thing? Like, there's a lot of whiteboard stuff that needs to be written out of, like, how do we connect this to this? And what's the way to heighten that to that? Very interesting stuff creatively right now, he said. Upon CM Punk's return at Survivor Series, War Games, Seth Rollins appeared angry and started swearing at the 45-year-old superstar. The World Heavyweight Champion's reaction led many to believe he would be Punk's first opponent following his comeback. Meanwhile, other fans have expressed their desire to see the best in the world square off against the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Speaking on Cafe de Reen, wrestling veteran Sylvain Grenier claimed that the match should not happen. I don't even see him with Roman. It will look bad. Roman is a workhorse and he's been away from the ring for too long, he said. CM Punk spoke with several superstars backstage and probably apologized ahead of his return at Survivor Series, claims veteran.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm